True, nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous I have been and am. But why would you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in heaven and the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken, observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived it haunted me day and night. Object there was none, passion there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. But whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so, by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. There's simply no other choice. Excuse me. Now, this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madman, no, nothing. But you should have seen me. You've seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it. Oh, so gently. And then, when I made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all close, and no light shone up. And then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Ha! Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously, oh so cautiously, for the hinges they creak. Ugh. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. You must pardon me. And this I did for 7 long nights. Every night, just at midnight, I found the eye always closed. Yes. And so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. I'm parched. I must have water. Excuse me. What was I? Right. And every morning, when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber, spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone, and crying how he has passed the night. So, you see, he would have been a very profound man indeed to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked upon him while I slept. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before the night I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph. To think that there I was, opening the door little by little, and he not even to dream all my secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea, and perhaps he heard me, for he moved on the bed suddenly, as if startled. Now, you may think that I drew back, but no, his room was as black as pitch with a thick darkness, for the shutters were closed fastened through fear of robbers. And so, I knew that he could not see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing it on, steadily. I had my head in and was about to open the line when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprang in bed, crying out. So, anyway, I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime I did not hear him lie down. I am still sitting up in the bed listening, just as I've done night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the wall. Presently, I heard a slight groan, and it was a groan of more terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh no! It was a low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it was welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo the terrors that distressed me. I say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt and pitied him, although I chuckled at heart. I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise when I turned into the bed. His fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. He had been saying to himself, "Oh, it is nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing the floor. Or it is merely a cricket that has made a single sharp." Pardon me, I could have sworn I closed the outside door. One moment. No, it is closed, as I suspected. Yes, she had been trying to comfort herself with these suppositions, but had found all in vain. All in vain, because death, in approaching him, had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. And it was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel, although he neither saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. When I waited a long time very patiently while hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very, very little crevice in the lantern. So opened it, you cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a simple dim ray, like the thread of a spider, shot out from the crevice and fell full upon the vulture eye. It was open! Wide open, and I go furious as it gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all dull blue, with hideous wail over it that chilled to my marrow and my bones, but I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person, for it directed the ray, as if by instinct, precisely upon the damned spot. And have I not told you, what you mistake for madness is but over-acuteness of the sense? Now, I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. Stop it. It increased my fury as the beating of a drum stimulates a soldier into courage. But even yet, I refrained. I kept still. I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the eye. Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and louder every instant. The woman's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder. I say, louder every moment. Do you mark me well? I told you that I'm nervous, so I am. And now, I did that. And now, perhaps another drink. Ah, yes. And now, at the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of the old house, so strange a noise as this excited me to uncontrollable terror. Yet, for some minutes longer, I refrained and stood still. But the beating grew louder. I thought the heart must burst, and now a new anxiety seized me. the sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw upon the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked once only. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. I then smiled gaily to find the deed so far done. But for many minutes, the heartbeat on a muffled sound. Stop that! This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the wall, of course. At length it ceased. The old man was dead. I rolled the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was stone dead. This would trouble me no more. If still you think me mad, you will think so no longer. Stop that! When I described the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body, the night waned and I worked hastily but in silence. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human, not even his, could detect anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no stain of any kind, no blood spot whatever. I had been too wary for that. The top had caught off. My apologies. Perhaps another drink. Yes, another drink. That sounds good. Where was? When I made end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight. I suppose on the other came a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart. For what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Information had been lodged at the police office, and they, the officers, had been deputed to search the premises. I smiled. For what had I to fear? I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man I mentioned was absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well. I led them at length to his chamber. I showed them treasures, secure, undisturbed. In the enthusiasm and confidence, I brought chairs into the room and decided them here to rest from their fatigues, while I, myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them I was singularly at ease. They sat, and while as they surely they chatted of familiar things. But here long I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears. But still they sat and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued to become more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of feeling, but continued and gained definiteness until at length I found that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I grew away pale. I talked more fluently and with a heightened voice. Yeah, the sound increased. And what could they do? It was a low, down, quick sound. Make it soft, make it soft, make it soft. Much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Another drink, perhaps. Oh, dear me, I spilled some on myself. But I stop it! I gasped for breath, and yet the officer heard enough. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased, since a thudding noise. I rose and I grew about 20 observations. What the noise steadily increased. Please stop. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fury by the observations of men, but the fallen noise steadily increased. Oh, dear God, what could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore, I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grating upon the boards. But the noise arose over all and continued to increase, grew louder, and still the men shouted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard not? Almighty God, no, they heard, they suspected, they knew. Shut up! They knew. They were making mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think. Quiet, stifle, shut up. What? But anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that my scream would die. And now again, hard, louder, villains! I shrieked. The summer no more. I admit the deed. Tear up the planks. Here is the beating of this hideous heart. As you are.